Hello, Jaguar fans. Welcome to Jaguar Sports Nation. I'm your host, Zamar Tompkins, and with me here today, we got the head honcho in charge of men's basketball, Coach Tony Bates, and he's telling us all about the season. Coach, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you giving us your time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys as well.
Yeah, so we want to know about the season, so you ready to just jump right into it?
Whenever you're ready.
All right, Coach. Going into the season, you only had one senior on your roster. I know that does kind of impact the maturity of your team. So tell me about the approach that you had, knowing that you did have a young team this season.
It has to be different. The learning process has to be differently. I pretty much schedule accordingly, but this year was kind of a little different for us. We thought we were going to have a couple more recruits that we didn't have. So we had a lot of young guys playing against some pretty good talent. We play some of the toughest conferences, teams in the country. So we played 29 games this year. 13 of the teams that we played were tournament teams. So, when you're a freshman or a sophomore and you're playing against the William Penns of the world, that can be a little intimidating. But I felt like the latter part of the year, our kids became more comfortable with playing such top talent. But if you come to Governor State, that's what we're going to do. We don't like playing anybody that can't make us better.
I'm glad you said that because that leads me to my next question. We did start the year off kind of rocky, 5 straight losses, but like you said, we did have a very tough schedule. So was this scheduling a coincidence, or was this something that you wanted to do? Because I know you always up for a challenge.
We really wanted to do it. I'm a firm believer if you don't make the tournament, bring the tournament to you. So what we did was the William Penns, the Indiana Kokomo's, the teams that we played in our Tip-Off Classic, actually went far in the NAI National Tournament last year. So I wanted to invite them to come up and play us, and they were willing to come up, and they played us. And like I said, we had our bumps, but that's okay because if you want to be the best, you got to play the best. And that's what we want to be, a team that's going to go to the national tournament and win conferences. And I think we're heading in the right direction with our last 5 or 6 games this year.
All right, and going back to the start of the season, we always start with the Jaguar Tip-Off Classic, which is a very exciting event for not only the members of the team, but the members of the GSU community. They always get a chance to come out and support our Jaguars. But as a coach, tell me, what does this mean for you to be able to get such a focused look at what your team is going to look like for the rest of the season?
I think it's very, very beneficial for us going into the season. I'm always a firm believer in, you play the toughest competitions you possibly can, and then going into conference play, we're battle tested. So I think that's kind of how we schedule things. So once conference starts, there's nothing that we haven't seen that we can't overcome. There's some struggles that we have defensively with certain teams. We've made the adjustments. So we're already going to conference play. Sometimes the record don't seem like we're ready, but just the competition that we're playing makes us ready. Other teams in the conferences are, they're going to play teams that are probably not that good, so their record might look pretty better, look better going into it. But we don't have that philosophy here. We want to play the best, and if we can't beat them, then get better. And that's what we try to do around here at Governor State.
All right, and enough of talking about the rough start. I want to talk about how the Jaguars finished this year.
Okay.
Like I say, there was a bit of a rough start, but the Jaguars did do enough to get a playoff appearance this year. So knowing how we started and then knowing the work that your team put in to make it to the playoffs, tell me about how you feel about the effort that your young men put in.
It was tough from the start because losing is always tough. You can tell the kids, hey, these are teams that are national tournament ranked, and this is what we play. But losing is still losing. So we never want to be comfortable losing. And I felt that going through the half season, we started having a little building in, and then going into those last 6, 7 games, the teams that we had pretty much locked in, and our determination was, hey, let's make the tournament. Let's make the conference playoffs this year, and got together and played well and was able to achieve that. So now that we've overcome that hump, now going into next year, we feel like we can come out blasting from the beginning, not just wait to the end of the year.
All right, Coach, you off to a hot start, but I think it's a good time for us to go ahead and take a quick time out, and we'll be right back. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and don't go far because we're still here with Coach Tony Bates. Welcome back, Jaguars. We're still here with head coach Tony Bates, and we're still talking about the Jaguars in our most recent season. Coach, if we're looking at the players that we put out on the floor this year, one of them stands out, that being Ty Walters Whitaker. He had a phenomenal season, leading in categories such as scoring, assists, and steals. You said, and I quote, "If it wasn't for Ty, we wouldn't have made the postseason playoffs this year." What led you to make such a statement about your point guard?
Well, Ty's only a sophomore, so last year he played a lot with the reserve team that we have here at Governor State, which really groomed him into getting prepared to play at the varsity level this year. He just came in and did a tremendous job, both offensively and defensively, and we felt that he was a very key player for us to be successful this year. He bought into the system and what we're trying to do here at Governor State, and I just can't say enough about him. And again, he was only a sophomore, so we have some high expectations for him coming into his junior year coming up.
All right, and let's go ahead and look at another one of your standouts this year, that being Adam Taylor, the only senior you had on your roster this year. He did finish fifth in the CCAC in three-point percentage. Tell me, what does it feel like knowing that you won't have a player like Adam Taylor coming in here next year?
Well, that's a great question, and this might be a weird answer. I'm happy. I'm honored and excited about Adam graduating. Adam's going to be a fifth grade math teacher in the area, so that's a championship to me. When we get these players to come into Governor State University, it's two things that I always want them to understand coming in. First of all, we want you to graduate. And secondly, we want you to graduate with the least amount of debt possible. If we can put those two things in place and also have fun playing basketball, that's what it's all about. So yes, I'm going to miss Adam from a basketball standpoint, but for a life lesson, a life goal, I'm just so happy for him. And when our seniors graduate, I sit down with the parents and I cry too, because they came across the journey. And I think that's what's important for all our student athletes, because one day Adam's not going to be able to shoot a three ball, but he's going to be a principal or a superintendent. He's going to be a father one day. He's going to buy a car. He's going to do all the things he's going to do out in the world. And to know that I was a small piece of that brings a lot to me.
Yeah, I definitely can relate, because Adam Taylor is one of my favorite Jaguars. Very cool guy, very personable. You see him around campus all the time, and he's always one of the guys that stops to say what's up to me. So it's cool points in my book. But let's talk about another Jaguar that does have a future with this team, that being Nick McCosh. He came in as one of 5 freshmen, and very quickly he earned his minutes, proved himself on the floor, and from a viewer standpoint, it looks like he became a big part of your team. Tell me how you feel about his production this year.
Nick came in here as a freshman out of an Indiana program that was very successful, so we knew that he would fit from a structure standpoint, offensively and defensively at Governor State. But I was very impressed how quick he absorbed the language and the things that we do here, and just played very well for us. We were a little small this year, so Nick was kind of playing out of his position. Nick's more of a natural 3. So with the recruiting efforts that we're doing this upcoming summer, we'll hopefully put him back in his position, which is his 3. But he's down there fighting with those big guys, and I was always proud of him, because he doesn't know how to quit, and that's all the characteristics that we look for when we're out here recruiting. We want players that understand that they are student athletes. Nick is an honor roll student. He made the first team, all freshman team for the CCAC. So with that combination, how can you lose? Someone's taking care of the classroom and also taking care of the floor.
Speaking of all the Jaguars that we do have running around here, this year and last year there seemed to be a lot more than previous years, and that being because we do have the varsity reserve team. Tell me, how does that help your varsity team, knowing that you have another team of players that you can pull from?
Well, I think it's important for everyone to understand we have 30 basketball players. So what we do is they're divided into a varsity reserve team and the varsity team. Doesn't mean you're on one team or the other. So if you may start off on a varsity reserve team, first of all, our varsity reserve team plays against the top junior colleges and other reserve teams in the area. So there are some nights where our varsity reserve teams are playing against some D1 JUCOs, so they're playing against Division I players. Although they're on the varsity reserve team, we have the same offensive and defensive systems. So if you're moved up and down, you're not missing anything because you know whatever the play is on the reserve team is also the same play on varsity. And then vice versa. We might have a young man that might be struggling a little bit on the varsity, needs some extra minutes. So we look at it more of as our farm team system, if that makes more sense to viewers, than just two separate teams. So you can play on either one of them, but same standards, right? You're going to go to school, you're going to take care of the classroom, and you're going to be good in the community. Both teams do community service. Both teams are involved in other activities that are going to enhance their ability to understand that basketball is never something that you are, it's just something that you do. And I think a lot of young people can't decipher those things because they've always been categorized as you're a basketball player. No, sir. I'm a young man with intelligence that happen to play basketball. And once they can understand that, I think we're heading the right direction. But we're so happy to have the reserve team because they give us the opportunity to help even more young men to grow in the sport. And like I said, what it is a better situation for us too as well as when we explain it, Zeke, because why go to a JUCO where you can come to a 4-year school, don't worry about classes being transferred because we only have top-notch classes here, and then you're also still playing against junior colleges, and as your game develops, you can develop to play on the varsity team. So we think that's an advantage that we have with our particular program. So again, we run the same sets, we do the same things, same study hours, so it's pretty uniform with both teams.
Glad to hear it, Coach. One last question before I let you get out of here. If a player is trying to get in touch with you or a student athlete wants to be recruited to be a part of your team or they just want to be able to keep up with what you guys got going on, how can someone reach out to you or keep up with what you're doing?
Well, my number is on the GSU website, and they can get in contact with me. So just find out if they're interested in coming to Governor State University. But please know we don't take everyone because I'm not the coach for everyone. I'll just be honest with you on that because I'm going to demand certain things, but I'm going to love you at the same time. So I believe that coaching is an opportunity for me to help young people grow, help young people become what they need to become. They come in here maybe as a kid, and I see them as a king. My job is to get them to be in their kingmanship before they leave here. So that's what we do here. So if you're interested in Governor State, please shoot me an email or give me a call, and I have one of my assistant coaches reach out to see if there's a fit. But first and foremost, know you're a student first. So if you just want to come to play basketball, we're not the place for you. If you want to come get a quality education and grow both on the floor and more so off the floor, then this could possibly be a place for you. And on top of that, we're going to win. And then what's your definition of winning, right? My definition of winning is students graduating, students not getting in trouble, students doing community service. Those are my definitions of winning, and it has nothing to do with basketball. Those are just life lessons. All I am is a life teacher that happens to go through basketball. That's how I look at my journey.
Coach, I'm not gonna lie, man. You got me pumped. I want to play for you now at this point. So just tell me, like you say, go to GSU Jaguars. I can get all the information
Absolutely.
there. All right, Coach. Appreciate you coming by.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate your time. And there you have it, straight from head coach Tony Bates himself. If you're looking for anything as far as Jaguar stats, rosters, schedules, updates, go to gsujaguars.com and everything will be right there. I'm your host, Amar Tompkins. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.